Always lock your door. What I'm going to tell you happened during my first year of university. At the time, I was living in student accommodation. Now, I know mine wasn't the best available, but wow, did it look like a prison. With white painted cinder block walls and metal sinks in the bedrooms, it gained the nickname of the cell block. Each dorm had 2 rows of rooms facing each other, and mine was smack bang in the middle. Now, for a uni dorm, mine was relatively quiet. I mean, people still came and went as they pleased, and sometimes the parties went on into the night. But for the most part, you could normally guarantee a good night's sleep. I was never too worried about locking my door at night. It was pretty common for my mate in the room opposite to come over and wake me up in the morning for a smoke. This was true until one night when I woke up at some ungodly hour, realizing my door was still wide open. It took me a moment to understand what was going on, brain still half asleep and eyes struggling to adjust to the lack of light. What I saw first was the door across the hall was open too, and I could clearly see the shape of my friend hidden beneath the covers in his own bed. Is he trying to play a prank on me, I thought? I lay there a bit longer, just staring into the darkness before I finally tried to muster enough strength to get out of bed. Yet, I couldn't move. It was like my entire body was made out of stone. I tried, oh God, I really tried, but I couldn't even find the strength within me to tilt my head to check the time. I was stuck, frozen in place. That's when I saw the first sign of movement. The covers of my friend's bed starting to shift, as if he was getting up. At this point I started to panic. If he wanted to scare me, then he nailed it. But why couldn't I move? I felt my heart beating inside my throat, and try as I may, I couldn't find the strength within me to lift a finger. The mass under the covers had ascended to full height now, swelling to fit the room. I tried to shout, tried to scream. I tried to call out my friend's name, but nothing came. It was like my voice was stolen. Then, the figure started to move. Its shroud began to slip. This wasn't my friend. This wasn't a prank. I watched as its clawed hand slid from beneath the covers, its razor-sharp fingers wrapping around the door frame. I could hear the groan of the wood as it buckled beneath the strength of its grip. It had pulled itself out into the hallway and over the threshold to my room before its face became freed from its veil. A face of pure darkness, void of form and feature, bar the rows of jagged teeth that formed a more-like grin. I wanted to run, wanted to close my eyes. My limbs ached and my mind was racing, yet all I could do was watch as the thing came closer and closer. Before I could even realize it was on top of me, its lumbering form dragging its way up the bed. I could feel the colossal weight crushing down on me, feel the cold hard grip of its hands around my throat as it denied me breath. My whole mind started to go faint as its face drew parallel with mine. The rasping breath it drew felt like it could have sucked the very soul from my body. And just as I felt everything about to fade to darkness, it stopped. Everything stopped. The creature had gone, and I felt my body become limp. As I lay there, my body began to tremble as I realized I was drenched in sweat. I forced myself up, telling myself it was just a nightmare, just the result of poor student cooking or whatever stress I was under at the time. As I left my bed, I approached the door to make sure it was pushed completely to. I peered out into the hallway. My friend's door was open as always, but even in the darkness of night, I noticed it. The splintered wood and the deep scratch marks around the frame. I spent the next few nights crashing around friends, using going out as an excuse to stay at theirs, avoiding mine as much as possible. That's when I learned something. That's when they told me. Do you remember when I said my accommodation looked like a prison? It's because it was. It was a converted female detention facility, used to house inmates convicted of filicide, the act of killing one's own children. I was lucky enough to never see it again. Since then, and every single night since, before I get myself in bed, I double check my door is locked.